back to the Independent Pianist. It's your host, Cole Anderson, as always. I have to apologize. Last week's video didn't make it up because of a copyright claim. It's a video that I made on Chopin's C-sharp minor Nocturne, and there's some totally ridiculous false claim that stopped it from being posted. Basically, the copyright claimants blocked their content in basically every country on Earth, so my video isn't even visible while I'm disputing the false copyright claim. And since they get 30 days to reply, I'm afraid you won't be able to see that video probably for another, I guess, 23 days or so. In the meantime, though, if you're a paying subscriber on my Patreon page, you can see it there. I did upload it directly to Patreon so that my Patreon supporters could watch the video. So if you want to become a paying member of Patreon, maybe this is a good time. You can see that video without having to wait. In the meantime, though, I thought I'd get back to some of my pedagogically inclined videos. One of my projects that I'm going to be doing over the next few months is to upload all these pieces from Carl Czerny's 8-bar exercises, his set of 160 small 8-bar exercises. And he calls them exercises, but they're really more of minuscule etudes. Only 8 bars long, so a single phrase in each case, and generally focusing on some kind of discrete technique for one hand or the other. They're very wonderfully organized. The first group of etudes takes you through the most commonly seen keys. So he goes up to, I believe, 4 sharps and 4 flats. Then there's a second grouping of etudes, which takes us through some of the harder major keys, the ones with 5 sharps, 5 flats, 6 flats, 6 sharps, etc. And then he goes through another set of pieces that go through all the keys, this time including all the minor keys as well, and more difficult techniques. Then the final grouping of etudes in the book are in a variety of freely chosen keys, and they feature the most virtuosic techniques possible. I'm sitting in kind of a windy spot here, so you will see my hair just getting blown about, but anyway, so for this video, I include the first 10. I already talked about the first etude a bit in the previous video I did about Czerny, so I won't repeat what I said about it. Suffice to say, it's a little etude that focuses on the 4th and 5th fingers of the right hand and on getting good rotation and strengthening your ability to use those fingers in isolation. The second etude is again in C major, and this one features left-hand diatonic scales with some kind of tricky figuration towards the end. The third one focuses on thirds. It's a very simple kind of third exercise to introduce you to this most tricky of all double note techniques, I believe. For an advanced pianist, this won't seem too difficult, but if it's your first time playing an etude like this, you'll have to focus on really making sure that your fingers are landing exactly together on all the thirds. The fourth etude is a wonderful exercise in left-hand rotation, so you get a great example of how to interpret these kinds of passages where you have alternating notes. And I would say this is one of the most difficult techniques to master usually when you're just starting out. It takes quite a bit of time to get comfortable moving the hand that much back and forth, especially that tempo. Generally, you're going to feel like you're flipping your hand towards the lower of the 2 notes, and the thumb has to feel very light. You barely move the thumb for this exercise. And then exercises 5 and 6, we're going on to the key of F major now, 1 flat. 5 and 6 are trill exercises, and here Czerny's done something very smart, which is he's measured out the trills and the exact number of notes that you should play. And I think this is always a great idea when you're first starting out trying to get good at trills, because the main thing about trills, making them sound effective, is simply that they are even and clean. It's not necessary for trills to be excessively fast. And if you really measure out the exact number of notes, you can develop quite fast trills that sound like you're just making them up on the spot. You might have noticed we're kind of switching between right hand and left hand techniques with each etude. That's another great thing about this collection, is that Czerny is very Catholic about developing the right hand and also the left hand equally. So exercises 7 and 8 are again paired. In this one we get chromatic scales. And you might notice some kind of interesting things here. Czerny writes a particular fingering, which is a perfectly good one. This is what would be considered a normal fingering, using your thumb on every white note except for F and C, basically, and then using either your second or third finger for the black notes. This is a very standard chromatic scale fingering, which is the one that is usually taught. If you're looking at what I'm doing, you'll notice that I'm actually using a different fingering. I'm using the so-called list fingering for chromatic scales, in which you run your fingers along more like in a regular diatonic scale. So that first scale there, for example, I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So in that case, my thumb is landing on every other white note. And this is simply a matter of preference. I think that fingering, the list fingering, is a little faster, a little bit more brilliant, a little smoother sounding. You can choose one or the other depending on what you want the musical effect to be. And for myself, I just find that I always prefer the list fingering, almost always. There are places where it's not convenient to use, but for the vast majority of places, I think it's the best fingering to use. And then for number 9, we get, again, kind of diatonic scales and arpeggios in the right hand in kind of interesting figurations. There's nothing too strikingly unusual about this. It's kind of just a dexterity exercise. Number 10 is kind of interesting because here we get Alberti bass figurations, and this again is a little bit of a technique in rotation, because obviously they're supposed to be played quite rapidly. In the right hand you also get some little very rapid appoggiaturas that you have to play, so those are also require a bit of lightness and exactness of technique. Great, and so that's it. Those are the first 10 exercises from this book. You can see that the difficulty is gradually increasing as you go along already. I'd also just say that the tempi that I'm using are probably on the upper side of what's possible. When you're just starting this book, I mean, this book would be perfectly appropriate for a late beginner. Say if you'd been studying for 1 or 2 years and you've gotten beyond the point of having to use a lesson book, for example, you're kind of into regular repertoire, then by all means, you'd be ready to do this if you're doing simple pieces by Bach. And then absolutely, you're ready to do this book. A simpler book that you could do when you're an absolute beginner, if you're working through like a lesson book series, is Czerny's Opus 599, which is also very excellent. It starts out at a much simpler level. By the time you get to the end, though, you're basically at the same level as the first few exercises from this book. So that's another excellent resource if you want something when you're just starting out, because Czerny was a great pedagogue, and he always will help you if you study his pieces intelligently. So as I was saying about the tempi, I'm just kind of showing what the upper limit is, but really you can get a lot of benefit from these etudes just playing them quite a bit slower. So you don't have to feel pressured to play them fast. In fact, that can be dangerous if you try to play them too fast when you're not ready. That can lead to injury and so forth. So when I'm teaching my students, I always just encourage them to keep at a very comfortable tempo. The great thing about these etudes is they're so short. So as Czerny recommends, you can loop them many times in a row. And you'll find as you work on one etude, it's good to keep an etude for a week at least, or even several weeks, and play it each day at comfortable tempi for you. And you'll find that your tempo starts to accelerate bit by bit. And then probably you'll reach a cap point where you can't really speed it up anymore. And that's a sign that you should probably just drop it and move on to something else. Keep yourself interested. You know, there has to be a balance between mastering the technique and also keeping yourself interested by learning new things. And that's another benefit to working on a set of etudes like this, is that it also gives you practice learning things quickly. So you're always reading new music and continuing to expand your horizons in that respect, which I think is also very important for technique and just for general musical enjoyment. It speeds up your ability to just absorb music. So that's about it. I'll sign off for now. I have some great repertoire coming up in the next few weeks. I've got some more Bach, and I have one of the wonderful late great Schubert sonatas in the works right now and almost complete. In addition to eventually my video on that Chopin Nocturne coming up. So until then, though, this is Cole Anderson signing off. So the complete performance of those Czerny etudes will be coming up as well, with them all in a row. You can kind of enjoy that like a little performance piece. So until next week, though, just take care and keep practicing, and I'll see you then.